You just mentioned James Rosen, so then another day and another controversy, which is also pitting the Obama administration against the press. This time, the government is going after Fox News' James Rosen and casting a troubling wide net. Adam Riley has more.
Court documents released this week show the Obama administration secretly monitored a Washington journalist.
That journalist was Fox News' James Rosen. Back in 2009, he reported that North Korea might respond to UN sanctions with nuclear tests, citing CIA sources inside that country. That disclosure sparked a federal investigation, and this week we learned just how aggressive it was.
They went through and read his emails. They tracked his comings and goings inside the State Department.
And according to newly released court filings, the Department of Justice also labeled Rosen a possible co-conspirator in an intelligence leak.
For the first time ever, a presidential administration is treating news reporting like a crime and a reporter like a criminal suspect.
In addition, the DOJ obtained records for more than 30 different phone lines, including several at Fox News,
our White House booth, our Pentagon operation, State Department,
and even from Rosen's parents.
The seized toll records also relate to James' parents' home in Staten Island.
It's unbelievable.
As with the DOJ's investigation of the AP, the backlash has been fierce. The White House isn't talking.
I cannot comment on a specific ongoing investigation.
But the government's actions speak volumes. These days, reporting sensitive information is a risky business.
Well, Adam, unlike the Associated Press story, that was a legal subpoena that the Justice Department got to go look at those records. This is just almost like they're digging for information, so they're targeting this guy. They're just going after everything. They're not subpoenaing his phone records. They're just digging into it.
The big difference in this, as I see it, is him being identified as a potential co-conspirator, which again is suggesting, even though he wasn't charged, that investigative reporting on sensitive information could become criminalized or may have already become something for which the administration is ready to bring criminal charges. You can make a case, and Jack Schaefer did this writing for Reuters, that James Rosen did some really dumb things. He had a security badge to go into and out of the State Department building, and they were able to match up his comings and goings with the comings and goings of his source. Yeah. That was dumb. So was his attempt to come up with a little secret language that he and the source were going to use together. And they would send emails in code, but then at the bottom of the email, James Rosen's contact info would be there. So, he wasn't too artful. But still, leaving all that aside, the idea that a reporter who tries to get classified information is criminally liable is new, and I think is pretty frightening.
And in fact, the Justice Department was able to get a judge to sign off on the notion that Rosen was a co-conspirator. Look, here's the problem, and it's a huge problem. The First Amendment is not there for the press. It's there for everybody. We all have the same protections. The flip side of that is there are no particular First Amendment protections for reporting. So we end up depending on the government to behave itself and do the right thing. And what's happened is that the Obama administration and Attorney General Eric Holder in particular have just gone off the rails here. They're not following their own guidelines. They're not doing anything illegal or unconstitutional, but it's outrageous. It's a threat to the role of a free press in this society. And I'm glad that people are finally catching on to this and speaking out about it.
And the real issue is going to be, it's relatively easy to understand that someone working for the New York Times or CNN is in the reporting context. Fox News is within that realm, if nothing else. Well, it has its own issues. But as more people have broader roles and as the ability to reach an audience continues to grow, we're going to start having more gray area cases. What if he wasn't talking to a reporter who worked for an established news network, but what if he worked for some sort of, State Department gossip blogger? Or what if it went a step further to another individual who is working at an embassy? What's interesting is that we as journalists can certainly say this is a terrible idea, but as you say, it's based on policies and principles and not constitutional defenses. And that's part of why the debate that's ongoing now in Congress and in a lot of states around building a shield law for journalists is that important, because while I think we can all agree this was a bad idea and it was done poorly, we're going to keep having more of these cases over time.
I think what gets me is that, we're talking about it because we know how important this is, but somehow we haven't cracked whatever we need to crack to the larger public to make them understand really how important this is and how scary to have James Rosen be followed in this way. And I try to think of, something similar to make people like lock in on it. It is not the same thing, but let's say, you're working at Target and one day you understand that the government's been monitoring all of your emails, following to your parents' house, everything else, everything that you have put out there has somehow been accumulated in a government file. And you are doing nothing but, waiting on customers because they're trying to get somebody to see if you're talking to somebody who's a customer and you don't know that customer is a spy or whatever. I mean, it's not the same thing because that's not your job, but it's our job to figure that out. And if you can't sense how horrible that would be to be invaded in that way, and it's your job to expose that they're targeting you, by the way, as just a regular person who happens to interact with a spy giving out information, then it's really important. We have got to make it clear to people beyond our group that this is the worst infraction that could happen, and we'll end up being Cuba, Russia, or someplace.
I'm going to push back on that. This reporter actively sought classified information and got it. So it's not like I'm not criticizing him for doing that, but that's what he did. He knew that when he went after classified information that it could be a security breach.
Okay, well, we're talking about. I guess extrapolate from his example. What he knew, what he was trying to find out was exactly about North Korea.
Right.
We're in this dangerous, the nuclear threat. I kind of sort of want to know what's going on there, and I have to give blame to the other person who has the classified information. If it's that connected to national security, then shut up. He was doing his job, maybe inartfully, as Adam has said, but
and maybe for a reason we don't know.
Right.
Anyway.